Tim's on the show today, and we're going to figure out a Cultured Biologix feeding regimen. Hey there, Bob from Oregon's Constant Gardener. Welcome to the OCGFAM show to you, my YouTube buddies. What's going on? Let me know in the comments. Let's talk. So today is day 3, I think, of this question. Question about I'm using a bunch of Nectar stuff. I'm using a bunch of this other stuff. I'm using it all together. How does it fit together? What we're doing, first step, is we're interviewing the principals of all these companies to find out how you use their product and how you use it within a regimen of other things. And then we're going to take that information, put it all together, make a big chart here, and then figure out, make some sense to it, try to simplify the process of using all this stuff. Let me tell you where we are so far. We talked to Rob from Full On. We talked to Carl about Microbe Life, the whole Microbe Life line. Today, Tim McCormick from Cultured Biologix. Tim's out in Colorado, but we're going to get him on the TV. We're going to find out what's going on with it. Let's do it. Hey there! We got Tim here. Tim McCormick from Cultured Biologix. Tim, what's going on? We were joking around a little bit earlier. That's why we have the levity here. So, I would share that with you. No, I won't. Tim, we've already talked to Rob from Full On and Carl from Microbe Life about using their products. What we're doing here is trying to build a unified feeding chart for someone using all this stuff along with Nectar. So I want to talk about Cultured, and what I want to talk about is if you're using Cultured Biologix, all 4 products, how that would fit into a Nectar regimen. But specifically, let's just kind of break it down here. Life cycle of the plant, clone or a seed, veg, bloom, harvest, that whole thing. What would be the way you would use your products with that?
Sure. We'll just start at the seed stage and go from there.
Okay.
When I germinate my seeds, I soak them in Dr. Root.
Okay.
I do a 12-hour soak usually, and then I plant them either in the soil or I plant them in a paper towel and let them germinate in a paper towel. Then I plant them in soil. When I plant the seed inside the soil and I want to hydrate the soil, I use Dr. Root throughout the entire seedling process.
Okay.
Not only is it great for germinating seeds, but it's also good baby food.
Okay.
Starter food, if you will, for the seedling.
Okay.
Won't burn, won't cause any nutrient damage. And then the plant grows older at that point. Then, you're in the veg stage, so you switch from Dr. Root to Easy Tea Veg. Once a week you start the tea process. After you get like 4 to 5 tiers of leaves, that's when you start the veg tea.
Okay.
That's the vegetative process. Normally you're transplanting from a seedling to go into that stage into a bigger pot. And so when you transplant, you use Dr. Root as well.
Okay.
So first life stage of the life cycle is seeds and seedlings. You want to use Dr. Root. When you take a cutting off of a plant, you soak the cutting in Dr. Root. Mm-hmm. And you then plant your cutting either in a cloner or you soak your plugs and you plant your cutting in a plug. Mm-hmm. So seedling, young plants, and cloning, propagation, you're going to use Dr. Root. Mm-hmm. The next stage is going to be the vegetative stage. Okay. This is where we start using the veg tea. This is where we start implementing the trigger. After about 4 to 5 tiers of leaves, that's when you want to start the lateral branching. That's when you want to start having the plants eating up all the nutrients, all the nectar, all the number 4 soil. And so you want compost teas to be implemented at that point to start making nutrients available.
Okay.
Then at this point, you get into mid to late veg. You get a nice big plant. We want to keep it healthy. We want to keep it green. We want to keep it primed and ready to go into flower.
Okay.
So this is when we start trigger. Trigger really is most beneficial from mid to late veg as you go into flower and early flower. So at mid to late veg, you're going to be using the veg tea and trigger together.
So the trigger, does it help it to switch over, or does it just help when it's switching over?
It helps it, so it's a primer.
Okay.
Not only does it help the vegetative stage, you get bigger plants, you get broader leaves, you get better canopies and veg, but it primes the plant with all the things that it's going to need to start flowering. So when you do go flip over to 12-12, or you do hit the light cycle stage outside, and the sun tells the plant you need to start flowering now, it has all the goodies it needs to push all that into the flowers, just help transition and flip the plant into flowering.
Okay. All right.
And then once we get into flower, the early flower stage, you're still using trigger. Then after early flower, you cut trigger out. The plant's already primed, ready to go. It's in flowering, it's going. Mm-hmm. And then I like to day 1 do a bloom tea.
Okay.
And continue the bloom teas up through late flower. And so instead of using the Easy T Veg, we switched over to Easy T Bloom. Easy T Veg has nitrogen-fixing bacteria. The Easy T Bloom has phosphorus-solubilizing bacteria. So the last stage of the plant, the flower stage, early through late, you're going to be using the Easy T Bloom once a week.
Okay. All right. So I start off with Dr. Root at the seed or the clone. I go all the way until a little past when I've transplanted into my somewhat larger pot to do that. Now, let's say that I'm going from a prop tray to a little pot, and then I go into my big pot. Do I Dr. Root it again when I get into my big pot?
Yep. Anytime you transplant, you're going to be using Dr. Root.
Okay. So anytime go ahead.
The Dr. Root is just simply use it for seedlings, clones, young plants, and transplants.
Okay. So I'm Dr. Rooting at the start, then I'm going to Veg Tea. Then I'm going to Bloom Tea, but in the interim between the Veg and the Bloom, in that little space there, I'm doing the trigger. Is that in addition to my Veg and Bloom Tea?
Yes.
Okay.
And you can either put it in your teas once a week,
okay,
or you can foliar spray it 2 to 3 times a week in that interim.
Don't even start with me on the foliar. That's 3 weeks out. We're going to be talking about that.
We'll get that.
We're just trying to get the root drench in at this point.
Right.
Okay. So now I've got the life cycle of how I use your stuff. The next question is the feed cycle. If I'm doing feed tea, feed flush, as I often do if I'm pushing hard with Nectar, which day? Obviously, probably the tea day.
Yep.
Okay, so does that mean I'm only doing it once a week, as far as the root drench?
Usually it means you're doing it once a week.
Okay.
Even if some people like to use smaller pots of water every day.
Okay.
And like to use Nectar every day. So Monday, Tuesday is feed, Wednesday is tea, Thursday, Friday is feed. Saturday is flush, and so it's once a week tea. And you use it like that. If you water every 2 or 3 days, it's still once a week. So mostly, once a week.
Okay, so would there be any benefit in pushing that, using it on some of my feed days?
No, I like to keep them separate.
Okay.
It's if you want to put something microbial or something enzymatic on a feed day, use SLF 100.
Okay.
But we wanted to set up a day where it's just your strict microbes, some nectar inputs, and some good microbial leavens for your plant.
Okay.
We want kind of the nectar, what doesn't get taken up with nectar, we kind of want it to build up in the soils. So the bacteria go into your soil and they have some food to break down and release.
Okay. All right. Next question. If I'm using Microbe Life, some of these other products, are there anything that can I mix this with those other things that I might be doing on my tea day, like some Microbe Life, that sort of thing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Diversity is the best part about microbials.
Okay.
So the more diverse microbials you have, the better microbial environment you will have.
Oh.
Now that's not to say that some things are kind of redundant. Mm-hmm. If you're using a phosphorus solubilizing bacteria like Mammoth, or you're using Megaphos, you don't have to use the Easy T Bloom. There's already phosphorus solubilizing bacteria in there.
Okay.
Vice versa. If you're using Easy T Bloom, you don't have to use the other ones that have the phosphorus bacteria in them.
Okay, so if you're using, let's get into that a little bit then. So let's say I'm using Microbe Life, just as an example of something more like that kind of product. Would you say I would do Microbe Life and Cultured every tea, or this time do Microbe Life, that time do Cultured?
Yeah, no, you could do Microbe Life and with the cultured teas. There's photosynthetic bacteria inside the photoplasm.
Okay.
So we don't have photosynthetic bacteria, mm-hmm. And to the other extent, we have a special type of composting bacteria that the Microbe Life doesn't have.
Okay.
But they do work in synergy with one another because we both have different bacteria.
Okay, so you would use, if you were doing a Microbe Life, that sort of thing, you'd probably do that every time along with the tea every time. If you're doing blacksmith, something of that nature, you'd probably either alternate or make a choice of one or the other.
Yeah, it's kind of redundant. No need to use them all at once.
Sure.
There's only going to be so many of that species of bacteria that can populate the soil anyways.
I gotcha. Okay. So is there anything you wouldn't want to mix with yours, like there would be a bad reaction, there would be something of that nature?
No. There's not really, you can't really mix microbes and have them go bad.
Okay.
However, if you're using an active aerated compost tea, you take your worm castings and things and you brew them together. You don't want to add anything too acidic or too alkaline to it. So if you're just using, just a straight worm tea or a compost tea, you kind of want to use those by themselves because then you can harm them. But with our Easy Teas, you won't see any negative side effects if you add full-on or add SLF or you add Photo Plus or even Megaphos.
Okay. So no worries there. Although if you were doing your let's say you're doing those. Would you like? Okay, you're doing a microlife. You'd mix your tea up, drop your microlife in, and go. You wouldn't sit around. If you were putting it in with any kind of nectar products, you'd mix those all up and then put this in at the end.
Yes.
Okay. So the pH could be.
I'm sorry.
The pH could be the issue.
Yes.
Okay.
And what you also find is that the Photo Plus is living cultures. Even the Mammoth P is living cultures, so you don't really want to induce living cultures to extreme pH fluctuations.
Sure.
Because that's what causes living cultures to go dormant.
Okay. How do you feel about chlorinated, chloraminated water?
It's with products like our Easy Teas, they're commercially ready, so they're impervious to chlorine and chloramine. We have the spores of bacteria. Those spores don't get harmed by the chlorine and chloramine.
Okay.
And once you put water into your soil, the soil will naturally neutralize the chlorine and chloramine.
Okay.
Just buffer it. But if you are using living cultures like Mammoth P and like Photo Plus and even like worm teas or even like compost teas, these are all living cultures that are very sensitive to chlorine and chloramine. So you do want to dechlorinate your water prior to adding the living cultures into the solution.
So yours is spores. It's not working, doing its business yet. And once it is doing its business in the soil where it's naturally going to get buffered. This situation, not the case. It's all swimming around in there. The chlorine and chloramine can be harmful to it.
Exactly.
That's it. That's the missus calling me. I better get going. That's it. That's all. We covered the whole thing. Okay, that was fun. We sure appreciate Tim helping us out with that. I think we're making pretty good progress. We got our full-on, our Photo Plus, our microlife. We got our cultured handle. I think next we're going to go on to SLF. Let's give Newton a call next episode and see what he's got to say. I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow. For more information about anything on today's show, go to our website, OCGFAM302. And if you buy anything while you're there, use the code OCGFAMShow. It's going to save you 20%, and it's a lot of fun. The OCG Fam Show, it's pretty good. It happens every day. It's the OCG Fam Show. See you tomorrow.